Good morning, how are we? So yesterday I came down to London, back in the city again, super excited to do some filming and some photography for two concert pianists. Super excited, that used to be my bread and butter, I used to do that quite a lot, and yeah, that sort of stopped. So believe it or not, YouTube is my only source of income now. I haven't had a penny from the government, so I am completely legally entitled and allowed to travel for work and for my photography. So I thought while I'm down here, I will stay in a very lavish £30 a night hotel and do a bit of street photography the following day. Now, as I said, YouTube is my only source of income regularly at the minute. That and my magazine, I'll put a link to F8 magazine up there if you haven't already checked out F8 magazine, please do so. So yeah, I'm fully legally allowed to be down here to do street photography as it's for work. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, but please bear that in mind, and yeah, let's go and see what London looks like with no one in it. See, I'm wondering whether or not just a shot of all these sort of shops with the...
Oh, with Christmas stuff.
Yeah, because they've all got the chairs and stuff up, and still got Christmas decorations up.
Yeah, I know, man.
Just looking for something of interest. I like the guy, the poster in the window, the guy sort of sitting there looking depressed. And at the same time, you've got people socialising in that picture there, but then you've got the chairs up on the table, so there's a bit of a story there with them two photographs. I really like that. I think I might swap the lenses and get like a wide angle shot with the chairs, because the two pictures I think tell the story with the chairs on the table and stuff, so that might be an interesting shot there. So I am shooting with X-T4 and a 16mm little prime, and I was trying to use the 56mm prime, and I thought that'd be good for shots like this, just to look in and pick out details, but straight away I'm finding the wider, obviously I'm about 24mm on a full frame, so I'm finding the wider field of view and the extra depth of field is really helping me tell a story, especially in shots like this where you've got like this really kind of sad scene where there's all these chairs on tables, and yeah, it tells a story about what we're going through at the minute. And it's yeah, the pictures though, the pictures are really important in this. So yeah, F4, just trying to get as much depth of field as possible and include the chairs on the tables and the pictures in the background. And yeah, it's very soft light, so we're not getting any interesting light, but I think the story's there. I'm in the city, and it just so happens that Roman Fox happens to live 25 minutes away from here. So when he seen my Instagram that I was in the city, he's jumped on a tube and he's come straight in. Now he's a YouTuber as well, so that's his main and only income, so he's fully entitled to be walking around doing street photography because it is his work. So do check out Roman Fox's channel. I had an idea of what I was going to do when I came to, I had a few ideas of what I was going to do as far as video when I come to London. And what I think, just being here, being in a place that's, unless you're selling food, you can't open, and it's so sad. And I'm looking through all these shop windows that are having to close unless they're selling food, or unless they can do takeaway food. And it's really sad. So I'm going to be documenting today. I'm going to be looking at sort of telling the story of basically London as a ghost town. Just, it's really quite sad and emotional when you're looking at these. I'm overwhelmed actually, because I've been looking at a few of these places and I'm already feeling a bit sad, or very sad, that potentially some of these shots are of businesses that aren't going to open again. So yeah, we're going to wander around. We've got a few hours. I might try and do a few different videos and with different stories. So yeah, I'm a bit overwhelmed so far about how sad it is. There's a lot of people walking around London, but the businesses are all closed, and it really is sad. So yeah, as far as camera wise, I was going to use the 56mm 1.2 because I thought that would be a good lens for sort of picking out details, doing some street photography without people in it. So street photography without people in them, but that still tell a story, and it's documenting what's going on right now. So I thought I would use the 56mm 1.2 to zoom in and pick out details. But straight away, I think I've got the X-T4, so having the 16mm prime with a wider field of view gets more in, and I think if I can include more of what's going on around, it makes it more important. And I'm not trying to make these images look pretty, look attractive. It's raw, it's honest, it's core, it's what's going on. So yeah, 24mm full frame, just to tell the story of what's going on in London right now. But it is overwhelmingly sad. So yeah, a lot of people walking around, but sadly the businesses look like they're never, a lot of them don't look like they're ever going to reopen again. So yeah, very, very sad times. This one quite works because I like the light coming in from the side. There's some nice tones up in the windows there. So portrait shot, this one works really, really nice. It's a nice sort of graphic element to this shot with all the vertical lines and the tones. The new electric Porsche, guys. So this isn't affecting everybody in the same way then, huh?
Well, I've never been so inclined to look in these old shop and pub windows before. But having looked in this pub, we actually bumped into the guy who's been running the pub for some time and who's been telling some really, really sad stories. And looking inside this pub, I actually really liked the light. It was a lovely scene, very sad of course, but I actually couldn't help but notice the plant that was just left on the table that looked like it was about to die, wilting away in the nice sunlight. Really, really sad, but I do like this scene.
What's that?
That might have some potential. I don't know.
You've gone black and white, have you?
Yeah, I can't photograph in cloudy days.
No? So I wouldn't go black and white in cloudy days. Because I'd only shoot a black and white if I had contrast and light to play with and tone. So that's the opposite. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, actually, let's talk about camera settings because I've just messed up. What I thought I'd do was I'd shoot almost aperture priority. So because I'm shooting out, the reason why is I normally, if you're new to the channel, I normally shoot full manual focus, manual exposure, aperture shutter and ISO and all that, fully manual, using the histogram to set up my camera. But because I'm going from outside to kind of photographing things like inside, I thought I would do, oh, somebody in there. Just where I put the glass, camera's the glass, there's somebody in there. The one shop in London that's got somebody in it. I thought I'd go aperture auto and yeah, just let the camera do it so I can go in and out quicker and stuff like that. But what I did, because the previous shot I'd just done was inside, I'd had the camera at 125th of a second because it was quite low light and I wanted a more depth of field. I wanted like an F5 or something. Then I pulled the camera out, went to 250th, as I seen this guy walking with a billboard or something, which looked quite funny because he had this giant laughing face as this woman was being carried by this guy with a billboard. And I took these shots, and I was on the previous settings was 125th because photographing low light. And then I ran after this guy and I knocked the dial once just to go to 250th because he was moving and I'm moving. I'm not that sure whether the pictures are going to be sharp or not because I like 500th of a second. I like to know that my camera's at 500th of a second because if I'm moving and the subject's moving, then you're pretty much half in your shutter speed. You're pretty much down to 250th. So yeah, I'm not confident that those pictures are going to be in focus and sharp because of the nature of me using aperture priority. So that's why I like manual, because I got ownership of my settings. So anyway, rabbit over. Let's go and find something else. Horrendous that the building's beautiful building boarded up like this, but look at this. And my wide angle lens might be absolutely perfect. So I love this. I think this is brilliant. So whoever that is, check them out because I think that's fantastic. I think this is fantastic. Turning what is awful into art. Well done. Absolutely gorgeous. Got to get a shot of this. Interesting looking at all these. One time you're going to get away with peeping in windows like this, I guess. But interestingly, I was just saying to Roman that normally with street photography or my street photography, I'm always trying to look for like an aesthetic, something visually pleasing, as opposed to the storytelling aspect of it. So normally I'm looking for something that's graphic, that's sort of not that you put on your wall, but something that's pretty, I guess. And that's not necessarily everybody's type of street photography, I know. But with this sort of thing, it isn't about you can take a photograph that's not necessarily composed properly, it's not necessarily even lit properly, but just that the storytelling is more important part of the image than the graphic, than the pretty, than the balance, than the well composed, than the nice light that I normally go through. So yeah, with this sort of photography, like documenting what's going on, it isn't about a pretty photograph, which is really weird, because some of the photographs I've taken that are kind of like hitting home, if you look at them as an aesthetic level, they're not that pretty, but they tell a really, really good story. So I'm really liking them. So it's, yeah, very interesting day so far. Good time to get something to eat. And someone's cooking, because I can smell it and it smells amazing. Follow that smell. As a thumbnail. That's class. It's crazy. This is awesome here. The reflections, everything. It's bonkers. That is awesome. How amazing. Yeah, I got 3 of you, 4 of you. I got 4 Roman foxes. I'm going to wait this area out.
I'm happy to admit I messed up this scene. I think as soon as I realised it was the standard cliche reflection frame, I kind of lost all interest in the scene. Although it was really, really exciting and I loved everything about it, I think I just realised deep down that it was just a standard shot and I should have looked for something a bit more creative. I did notice these reflections in the ceiling and I thought if I use them frames and them shapes a bit better, I'll probably get something a bit more interesting other than just the standard nice perspective shot. I mean, it is a lovely frame, probably one I'll head back to, but definitely needed to have worked the green walls a bit more and yeah, tried something different with the abstract opportunities in the ceiling.
So this is Mr. Fox taking the mick out of the fact that I like to work a scene a little bit. And I say a little bit. Mark Fernley's 5,000 times worse than me. I spent about 2 minutes there and he's throwing his toys out the pram. But yeah, well, the thing is, I don't get it right as quick as you do, mate. That's what it is. You knock it out the park in 10 seconds.
Not really.
Oh, it was so good to be back in London doing street photography. Absolutely miss it. And really, I'm sure most of you guys watching this will be really missing getting out with your camera. Fingers crossed we'll be able to do it freely again soon. I really am missing my wanders with the camera. So yeah, I was only in London due to doing some commercial photography, so I wouldn't have flouted the lockdown rules and gone all the way down there to do street photography, so do bear that in mind. But yeah, this is, believe it or not, YouTube is my only income, that and my magazine. So this is F8 magazine. If you've not been introduced yet, this is my own publication. We're on issue 4. And it's got it's 36 pages, I think, and it's got lots of, oh, funny enough, there's Roman's picture in there as well. So it's got lots of backstories and photographers from all around the world. Some really, really interesting photographs, interesting stories. So yeah, it's 2 interviews per magazine and lots of insightful comments and insightful stories behind the images, I say, from all over. So yeah, do check out F8 magazine if you're learning street photography. It's really, really helped me see how people see things so differently. So yeah, check that out. Now, from that video, I wouldn't actually say I got a photograph. That's a 2-parter. So there's the next part of that video is going to be in a couple of days' time, and I think that's when I got the better pictures. Now, street photography, for me, I like to get something that's quite pretty. You know, I like to get like an aesthetic element to my photographs. I don't just want to document something. I think street photography borderlines documentary photography sometimes, and I think with that adventure with Roman, it was very much a case of yeah, documenting what was going on with the pandemic and how it's affecting all these businesses and all these bars being closed. So very, very sad to see these places, and I got loads of photographs of interiors of closed down premises. So very, very sad. But yeah, that's why we were there, just to document. It's so weird to see London with no one in it. It was, well, there was parts of like Chelsea and Fulham where I was working a couple of days before was really busy. And then certain parts of the city were quite busy as well. Chinatown was busy. So it was weird, depending on where you went. We went to Chinatown in the second part. So yeah, it was really, really weird. But it's probably the only time I've been out and I've got some photographs that I think they're important, that I document what went on, what goes on with the lockdown and everything, but no aesthetic images at all. I think the geometric shots I got with Roman waiting impatiently for me as I was taking my photographs are probably the only pretty photographs I took. So yeah, obviously difficult not having many people around in London, but yeah, hopefully those times will return soon. So yeah, very, very sad. But do subscribe, hit the notification bell, because part 2 of that video will be out in the next couple of days, hopefully, and yeah, check that out. Also, I've just posted my first ever blog, so I'll put a link up there if I can figure out how to do that, to my first ever street photography blog, so do check that out. Let me know what you think of that, and yeah, hit the subscribe and find Roman Fox's YouTube channel, give us a subscribe and tell him I said hello as well. So anyway, till the next time, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed the video, even if the pictures were probably not like my normal sort of street photography photographs, but yeah, it was an interesting one anyway. Anyway, till the next one, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys.